So, Leeds have a couple of problems going. That's fun, yeah. Anyway, hello. Before I get into it, welcome to the Joe Blackburn channel, I guess. Previously, I was doing stuff primarily on Last Word FC. A couple of issues going on with that channel, so I'm just going to push my personal one for a little bit, see how that goes, and let you know how it goes. So, yeah, let's roll into it. I'm going to do this live as well, so any comments that you have, just pop them in the chat, and I will happily talk them through. Anyway, we got to discuss the Sunderland presser today because we learned some pretty dramatic, horrid bits and bobs. First of all, primarily around team news. Now, the first bit that Daniel Farke mentioned was that there could be some late decisions to make, and at that point you're thinking, okay, it's not too bad, it could be worse, right? And then we get to the bit where we have an injury crisis, which I would have preferred to have mentioned immediately so I could get panicked and make this thumbnail. Including Sam Byram is definitely out. He's got a hamstring strain for at least 3 weeks. Pretty big problem. In addition to that, Jamie Shackleton has a glute injury. He's definitely out as well. We didn't quite get like a set timeline on the Shackleton issue, but that could be a pretty big problem for us, especially considering that Junior Firpo is also gone. Can't quite remember how long Junior Firpo was gone for. I think it was till the end of the month, maybe January, but that's not good either. And apparently we just have to adapt to the left-back crisis, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail later on, because I think transfers could also play a pretty big role in it. But that adaptation is, again, square pegs, round holes. We do have some slightly rounder square pegs this time, at least. Like, at least Jed Spence playing over there makes some sense. Archie Gray is technically a right-back, but we're back to the issue that Bielsa had time and time and time again. Message from Danny Rumsey. Do you think this flu could be bad and spreading around the team? I'm in a slightly different spot to Joe Wainman on this one. I know, YouTuber drama. But I feel like if there is something fluey, it's probably best to rest the players, keep them away from Thorpe Arch, because you don't want that spreading. And the mention of Bamford having not trained is also, in my opinion, a good thing, and it means that he's not likely to spread it to other people. Also, let me know if the audio goes a bit funny, because StreamYard has gone absolutely bonkers recently in the past few days in terms of sound. Could drop in DJ back at left back. He's done it in games. I've not liked when Dan James has dropped in at left back, though, because he's currently one of the best right wingers in the division alongside Crescencio Somerville. Putting Dan James back there feels excessively risky, to be fair. It's the defensive part of his game he doesn't do very well, and making him play against Patrick Roberts and Jack Clark in a position that isn't his feels like an unnecessary, like, stressy leap to make. Don't like the idea of it more than anything else. On the note of the cold and flu issues, though, we have cold and flu issues. That was mentioned in it's probably going to keep some players out. There's apparently some moaning among some players, and that's presumably including Patrick Bamford, who missed the most recent match because of a cold/flu. This is where I take the different stance from Joe Wainman. He said that if it's something a bit sniffly, then combined with the term moaning, there's sort of an implication that it's not that serious. I'm going to relate it to me in a way that makes a little bit of sense, and it will hopefully to you guys as well. But I play seven-a-side football on Mondays, and I 100% accept that is nowhere near professional football. I've also had a cold for the last few weeks, and it's made that level of football hell. These are also people. These are also people that need to be able to breathe when they're playing football. And going onto a football pitch and playing 90 minutes against championship tier footballers is going to play absolute havoc with your entire physicality. And it isn't something that you want to deal with. And it's something that, if you do it wrong, is going to cause a lot more harm than it does good. So it makes sense, in my opinion, to leave those players out. Make sure that they're physically okay and not risk them in the foreseeable future. If that wording makes sense to you, of course. I imagine I'll get comments now saying that it's stupid, and if it's just sniffles, then they can deal with it. But if it's more serious than that, and it's like phlegmy throat, mucusy everything, that's a fun thought, isn't it? Probably just leave them out. We can spend a couple of weeks making sure that they're okay and not doing harm to themselves, because that's the last thing that you really want. Comment from Danny again. Just think with Roberts and Clark's pace. I think I agree. But in the same way, Jed Spence also has that sort of pace about him. And Archie Gray has still been doing a good job at right back. Spence was good enough at left back. If he's taught himself to sort of play more defensively this week as well, then I think Spence one side, Gray on the other just makes a bit more sense. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail in my preview tomorrow, though. I might also do something live with Just Joe Football Show, but I'm not 100% sure. I've not properly planned that out yet because Monday to Thursday next week, I don't know if I'll be able to record anything because I'm at a funeral. Fun stuff. If it's a head cold, it's not good. When I was playing Sunday League, it was bad trying to play with a head cold. Yeah, absolutely. And you just have to think that footballers at the top level are like these well-oiled machines that need to be playing at their best in order to get a good performance out of them, because the players they're against are also these well-oiled machines that are really good at football. It's a massive risk to send them out there if they're anything below 100%, because they could fly into a challenge late, injure themselves, injure other people on the pitch, make bad decisions. I just think it's the best way forward to make sure that they're not on the pitch, if that makes sense. On a similar note, Bamford was feeling a little bit better, but he's not quite trained yet. There's a training session this afternoon. It's probably happened when we're talking right now. But if he's been able to train during that and able to train tomorrow, I imagine he'll be part of the matchday squad. If not, guess we'll find out. On the subject of training, Farke said that they've been using a lot of video review for the Sunderland match purely because it's quite hard to get people on the pitch and training. Also, I'm just going to pull up a comment from Danny for a while back. If you're here and you're enjoying the stream, please pop a like, please subscribe. This is a channel that I'm trying to very quickly grow if I can. It'd be massively appreciated if you could do that for me. Thank you. But there's been a lot of video review stuff, a lot of tactical stuff, watching various tapes of Sunderland matches. I think that is essential not only to football in general at the moment, but in this match especially, because the players know what it's like to do all the running that they need to do, to chase after players, to press. What they don't know is the way that Sunderland plays. So being able to do that theoretical behind-the-scenesy stuff makes sense, because it not only teaches them how to play against Sunderland, but it makes sure there's not further stress on their body from spending so long on a training pitch. There's also a little bit of a gap to the top two forming. Has formed. Still there. Very annoying. I think it's currently 7 to Ipswich and 8 to Leicester, or something like that. But it's an absolute pain in the arse, and I imagine Farke sees it as the same. But Farke is saying that it's not important to us what others are doing, and I think this is the perfect approach for Championship football. It's a 46-game season. It is one of the longest footballing seasons that you're going to get, and especially if you've got playoffs, then it's like 50 plus FA Cup matches. But you've got to be in a position of saying, well, Ipswich and Leicester losing doesn't matter if we lose as well, because the gap's the same. They need to keep consistent, they need to be intelligent with what they're doing, and they need to make sure that there's a good little bit of balance amongst the squad. Otherwise, there is a very, very serious risk that we sort of take our eye off the ball, make mistakes, and then we can't catch Leicester and Ipswich when they make mistakes. There is a clear goal of 2 points per game. Daniel Farke said, well, if you're at 2 points per game, you know what you get at the end of the season. And he clearly thinks that 2 points per game is going to get us promoted. I don't think it's ever not managed to get a team promoted. So it'd be very Leedsy if it didn't for us, but we'll find out. Also noted that all the teams will drop points. That includes us. We can't lose our nut if we drop points drawing a match to Rotherham or Plymouth or something like that, because everyone's going to lose points. Everyone's going to lose points to teams around them. Ipswich in particular have Leicester, they have Norwich, they have us in the next 8 days. That's a hellish run to deal with, especially when Norwich are their rivals, and it's a good time for us to catch up to them. Before I get into the next bit, Danny said, could Jack Clarke and Niall Huggins come back to haunt us? They absolutely could. I've forgotten what flank Jack Clarke tends to play on so far this season. So I'm just going to very quickly check whoscored.com. Because as with the other channel, what I run, I don't like to mislead you guys. I like to be 100% accurate if I can. Let's hop to the preview. Clarke tends to play down the left, which would mean that he's playing against Archie Gray. I trust Gray enough to deal with that, and I especially trust if left wing. Okay. Even then, I absolutely trust Spence to be able to deal with Jack Clarke on the wing. Oh, yeah, their left wing, right back. Archie Gray. Okay, cool. Yeah, I imagine Archie Gray will be able to deal with it. If Archie Gray isn't able to deal with it, he's still got James down that side. That all makes sense to me. I've got this saying that Huggins plays as a right back, But even then, that's not too much of an issue. That's Spence dealing with him. Not too bad. I do love that WhoScored.com has our probable lineup with Byram, Strauch, Rodon, Gray at the back, though. That is absolutely magnificent lack of research from them. Right, where were we? Into the banners. On to what he expects from Sunderland. And the first thing that he noted was they have very, very high standards at Sunderland, and it's completely understandable. They're a team that is used to being in the Premier League. They, at the Stadium of Light, can fit, I think, 50,000 people in. It's colossal. It's a big ground, and with big expectations to go with it. They've got very high standards, and they're currently, I think, in a playoff position. I'm just going to get back to my double check-in. But they're currently definitely in the conversation for promotion, and the fact of the matter is, they're currently 6th, and they sacked their manager, Tony Mowbray. You got to feel a little bit hard done by if you're Mowbray there, but it's very telling of what they think they can do. Currently, between 5th and 11th. Sod that, 5th and 13th, there's 5 points. That's not a scrap that we're in, and I'm very thankful for that. But you can see why they've maybe gone, let's get an experienced manager, and if they've got someone lined up, I completely understand it. If they've not, then it's a very weird move for them to make. But then, outside of Sunderland, we get on to potential transfer news. Signing a left-back. Daniel Farke said that it was something he had in his head anyway, because Junior Firpo, consistently injured. Sam Byram, consistently injured. Jamie Shackleton, cover at best. Archie Gray, not a left-back. Jed Spence, a right-back. You can see why he said that he had it in his head that he wanted to get a right-back for the side, no matter what. He also said he's refusing to even consider selling players because in this league, you need more than 11 players. There was the part where he mentioned if you've got 20-something player on the list and they want to go on loan, sure, fuck it, they need football. But on the contrary, you've got the slight issue of Nonto won't be getting the minutes that you want, so do we count in selling him? And Farke has been very firm and said, no, Nonto is staying, even if he wants to go. Anthony recall, that's not our question. And a lot of people have discussed the potential for a recall on Jayden Anthony purely because he's not got that many minutes. But he's not earned that many minutes because Somerville and Dan James in front of him have taken the league by storm. You can't earn minutes when you're behind those two. It's just common sense to me. Us refusing to sell players as well is absolutely fundamental to us continuing to push on because it's our depth of squad that keeps us going. If we lose 1 or 2 wingers in the coming window, that's a serious issue because what happens if Somerville gets injured? What happens if Rutter gets injured? I think we also need a number 10. It's something I'll probably discuss with Joe tomorrow when I do a little bit of a pre-recorded thing with him. But losing Rutter means we lose all of our creativity because that's what he is. He is our biggest creator in the squad at the moment. And I think, if anything, we need to invest rather than lose players. We've got 2 loan slots. We need to make use of those, I think. One for a left-back, maybe one for a 10. But also there needs to be an eye on permanent signings because you can always strengthen the squad. Because at the moment, I think we have the strongest squad in the division, but the league table doesn't say that. The league table says that we're 3rd. And until the league table says that we're top 2, and comfortably so, it's really hard for me to say that the squad is good enough because the squad at that point isn't good enough because it's not up in that conversation and it isn't getting promoted right now, which is what we need to happen. Anyway, that has been a very, very quick stream just to see if everything worked on StreamYard for this channel, just to see if I was feeling a bit streamy because I'm still full of cold. Funeral next week is firmly getting me under the weather. But yeah, unless there's any comments that fling in right now, I think I'm going to call it about there, to be honest. I did notice that Danny said that Sunderland are after a Swedish manager. I have absolutely no idea on that, I'll be completely honest with you. I've not been fully keeping track of Sunderland malarkey, but I might do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Please like the stream or video if you're currently on after the fact. It'd be massively appreciated. And subscribe, that's even more important because I need those subscriber numbers to get up and up and up so I can reasonably make a shout that I can go on this channel as well as the other one. That'd be great. I would say become a channel member, but I can't do that anymore, can I? Oh well. Comment what you think down below. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time. If I click the end stream button right. There we go. I think. Hey!